The president is in Scotland this morning, tweeting about everything from the Russia probe to his golf plans.
And this follows a busy and rather colorful visit to London, where he met with the Queen and was also greeted by noisy protests in the street. ABC's chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, is right there in London with more. Terry.
President Trump and the First Lady arriving in Scotland last night, a day of rest at the Trump-Turnberry Golf Resort near Glasgow after a tumultuous few days of Trumpian diplomacy, and now looking ahead to his meeting on Monday with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki.
The unit's engaged in active cyber operations to interfere in the 2016 presidential election.
But after the federal indictment of 12 Russians for hacking the 2016 election, there are calls from Democrats for Mr. Trump to cancel his summit with Putin.
If he and his team are not willing to make the subject of this indictment of Russian interference a top priority in the Helsinki meeting, then the meeting should be canceled.
The president's almost certain to go forward with this summit. He even seems to be looking forward to it, answering a question during his press conference with British Prime Minister Theresa May.
I think I'd have a very good relationship with President Putin if we spend time together.
There was plenty of pomp and circumstance for the president during this visit to Britain. Tea with the Queen for him and the First Lady, and earlier in the week, a gala dinner amid the splendors of Blenheim Palace. All of it seems, delighting Trump. There were also large protests, though not as large as many organizers hoped. Throughout this trip, President Trump has rattled allies, staking out positions that sharply disrupt the old transatlantic consensus. On NATO, where he questioned the very value of the alliance itself and seemed to threaten to withdraw the U.S. And here in London, on immigration, engaging in a pointed back and forth with Theresa May.
I think it's been very bad for Europe. I know it's politically not necessarily correct to say that, but I'll say it, and I'll say it loud. And I think they better watch themselves, because you are changing culture, you are changing a lot of things, you're changing security.
And back now with Terry Moran in London. Terry, we saw in your piece some of the tough exchanges between our president and our allies. What kind of tone do you think he's going to take with Vladimir Putin, especially given these new indictments from Robert Mueller?
Well, that's the question a lot of Americans want answered, Dan. And there's no question that President Trump resents those indictments. He calls that whole investigation a witch hunt, and it seems to get in the way of what is a primary foreign policy objective of this president, and that is an opening to the Kremlin to Vladimir Putin. Based on how he talks about Putin repeatedly, he wants to be open. He's looking for opportunities to do some kinds of deal with President Putin. And a lot of people are concerned that he is shifting American policy more towards Moscow and away from these more traditional allies. And finally, Dan, people are worried about that one-on-one meeting, just Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and a translator or two.
Terry Moran reporting in from London. He's on his way to Helsinki, where he'll be covering that historic summit on Monday. Terry, thank you.
Yeah, once again, thanks to Terry. We want to bring in ABC News political analyst Kristen Soltis Anderson, who's in D.C. for us this morning. Good morning to you, Kristen.
Good morning.
So after the indictments, does he need to take a tough stance with Putin? And as Terry just mentioned, the president really wants to get a deal done. What do you think that deal looks like?
Absolutely. I think the president needs to be tough when it comes to Vladimir Putin, because as we have seen with this indictment and as we've known for the last many months, as the intelligence community has said over and over, this wasn't just a couple rogue Russians deciding they wanted to meddle in the election for fun. These were intelligence operatives who were directed almost certainly from the highest levels. So the things that the United States needs from Russia is for Russia to knock off its bad behavior. And my hope is that's exactly what President Trump will ask for in this meeting.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, the president's been tweeting about the Mueller indictments this morning. He pointed out that the actions of those 12 Russians took place during the Obama administration. He said, quote, why didn't they do something about it? Does he have a point here?
He's not wrong on this front, and in fact, Democrats have criticized Obama for this very same thing. Donna Brazile, who is the interim head of the DNC, toward the end of the election, she wrote a whole book that involved a lot of criticism of the Obama administration's seemingly weak handling of this issue. But President Trump's been in office now for a year and a half. It's time for, I think, the buck stops here kind of look at this. And if he's meeting with Vladimir Putin, this, of all opportunities, should be the time that if we haven't done it yet, where we really put our foot down and say, knock it off, absolutely no more.
The president says he'll bring it up, but he says don't expect a Perry Mason moment of Vladimir Putin admitting it all. Kristen, Soltis, Anderson, we really appreciate your analysis on a Saturday morning. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.